So, welcome guys. Now this is our part 3 PHP class. If you've been following my class, congratulations to you. But for those of you who might have been joining this class for the first time, you will need to go through the first and second PHP classes. That's the part 1 and the part 2 of my PHP class. Today we are on our part 3, and my name is still Fadari Ayola, and that's my email. And if you have any comments, you can drop your comments at the comment section of this YouTube tutorial channel. So we are good to go. Now, loops. What is a loop, and what do you understand by loop? You probably must have been hearing it daily. It must have been used loosely, but in programming, the word loop is very, very important, and it's a powerful word also. A loop is a program that goes round and round until it performs an operation. So which means it continues to repeat itself until it performs what you've told it to perform. A loop will tell the program where to start and what to do when it finishes the program. It is very easy for you to program with loops, especially in PHP. It saves you a lot of time and stress. Now let's go through some examples. We will start with the for loop, and my text editor is Notepad++ today. So if you see a for loop, what does it imply? Now the example you are seeing right now on the screen gives you a typical example of a for loop. I have a for loop that will count the number from 1 to 11. So you declare a variable. For those of you who have not learned how to declare a variable, you might need to go to my part 1 PHP on how to declare a variable. Now I'm declaring two variables. Variable count equals 0, and I have a variable start equals 1. So my for loop, this is syntax of my for loop. You start with the word for. A for is a function or a method, so automatically it comes with its own bracket or braces. Then we have the curly brace and the information, that's the instruction you want the for loop to perform. So right now, what we are telling the for loop is that you will start a variable from 1, and that same variable will be less than 11. So which means that same variable cannot go beyond 11. Then the third statement, start plus plus, means that the variable will increment by 1. So it will increment by 1. That's 0 plus 1 equals 1. Then the next one is 1 plus 1 equals 2. The next one is 2 plus 1 equals 3. The next one, 3 plus 1 equals 4, until it gets to a value of 11. Then you have your curly brace. The curly brace gives the instruction that we have a variable count which is equals to is 0 plus 1. Then our print statement, you know, if you've been following my tutorial, the print statement is basically the same thing with the echo statement. Now, without much ado, let's go to our notepad. I'll first of all create my PHP statement, but let me set my language to PHP here on my notepad. So that is done, and I'll say this question mark PHP, then the closing PHP question mark, and the closing greater than symbol. So we are doing a for loop, so I'll just write in capital letters for loop experiment. That is that. Now let's go to the next line. I declare my for loop. For, I told you it's a function. I have the curly brace which you have to declare. I go back to my for loop, but before then, above the for loop, I declare my variables. Say variable start equals 1. Then I have variable count equals 0. You end your statement with a semicolon. Now we go into our for loop function, into the method, and say the variable starts itself, then you end it with a semicolon. Now you now say start, that's the variable start is less than 11, you end it with a semicolon, then you have a variable start plus plus. Now that is that. So you've just told PHP in the for loop that you have a variable that will start from 1, then that 1 will be less than 11, and that 1 will be incremented by 1. So the instruction now is we have a variable count equals variable count plus one. I will now say echo variable count. We'll save. We'll now go, we have to save into our folder which we've created. I'm going to save it in an existing folder. I have a folder called JS. So I choose my syntax with HTML, and I have loops dot HTML. That is that. I save. Now what's the next thing? I have to go to the browser. Sorry, I have to use my concat and my break tag so that the numbers will start from a new line. So next thing I'll do is to go to my folder directly. I see the loop here. I double click on loops. I double click on my loop. Okay, I'm actually using Mozilla. Let me open it from Mozilla. Oh, very sorry. I have to save the file as a PHP file. Sorry, that's my mistake. Very, very sorry. Okay, so we'll go back. We'll save it as .php. Look for the extension from the save as type PHP. Once that is done, I'll now save it in my WWB, my WAMP folder. I don't know what I was thinking about. Okay, so this is my WAMP. I go to my WW. Excuse me. So I have a JS file here also. Save it in my JS file and click save. Once that is done, I go to my web browser. I look for localhost JS. I click enter. I can even decide to type my loop.php, enter. So we now get our answer. Is, you see it, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10 has been printed out or echoed out. So that is how to create a for loop experiment. Now let's go back to my slide. Now you've seen how to create a for loop. Now let's go further. Now the syntax, the format of a for loop is for your bracket, opening bracket, your start value, your end value, your update expression, and the closing bracket, or what you guys over there will say closing braces. Now you have your coily brace or your coily bracket, whichever word you decide to use is okay. So this is how the format is, and once you do that, you cannot give your instruction, that's your echo instruction, or your echo, that's command, for it to give you the results you have stated above. Now, some things you need to understand. The for loop condition is to tell PHP the initial value of your loops. That is, what number do you want to start with? For example, in our last example, we started with number 1. We declared the variable and equaled it to 1. Now in the for loop statement, we have the variable start, semicolon, the expression start less than 11, and the increment start plus plus. Here we need to have a closing bracket there. Now you can also do this. You can decide to declare your variable directly inside the for loop. Next, you tell PHP when to end the loop. This can be a number, a boolean value, or a string. So you, like what we did earlier, we told PHP to end it once the value is less than 11. So finally, the update expression, that's the plus plus, we need to tell the loop how to go round and round. So more projects. Now this example is meant strictly if you have a form and you want to get a value or do some algebra or arithmetic from a form. Now look at the example we have. We declared a variable called times. Times is equals to 2. Then we declare a variable called start. We inserted a global variable which is a post, and we embedded the word start. This start is different from the declared variable start. As you can even see, the start in here is in upper letters, capital letters, or uppercase. Then we have another variable called end, where it's going to end with our global variable end. Then the times, which is this also. Now we now use the loop. What the loop does here is to grab the information in our variable start. The start is where we are going to inch our loop from. That's where the loop will get its strength from. So start is less or equals to end. So we are starting and we are ending. So depending on the number which you type into the text box, that is where it's going to end. Equal, less or equal. It's not going to be more than. Then we have the increment sign, the plus plus. Now the instruction is that we declare on that variable. I will now say start multiply, that's the asterisk, with the value we put into the times variable. They will now print, say print variable start, we concat it with a string, multiply by what is in the variable times, concat it with the equals symbol, we'll string it, we'll concat it with the answer, and we have the line break which will echo the information in a new line. I guess all what I've been saying is like gibberish. Let's dive into the text editor proper and see how it's been. Let me use my CS. Use my CS, open my PHP. Now in our CS, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a form. From the example we have 3 text boxes. We have start, end, and times. So I'm going to do that right now. So create our form. This is our form tag. If you look at it, if I split it now, you see that we've created a form tag, and because I actually press multiple enter on my keyboard, it brought out that. So now you can see the form tag is declared. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to get a text field. Create one text field here. This is our first text field. I'm going to call it, what did I say here? Start. Start will be in capital letters, START, that's start. Create another text field. What's the name of that text field again? End in capital letters. And obviously the last text field will be times. So the final thing we are going to create is the button. We have our button, and as you can see from here, you have your various input tags: label, input type text, label is end, input type text, name end. We don't need that for now. Let's just go straight to what we are doing right now. So in PHP, what I'm going to do, actually, I'll come here, go straight to my Notepad++. Don't be confused. You can actually use one text editor for the whole stuff. I'm just trying to be creative here. So I'm going to echo all this out so that it won't be part of the program. I'm sorry, I'm going to comment them out. So they've all been commented. So the next thing I'm going to do is to declare a variable. Variable start equals global variable post square bracket your quotes. Let me put the semicolon. So here it will hold the text field name called start, START. That's the text field name. Here I declare on that variable, I say that should be end, variable end, if I'm not wrong. Yes, start end times. So I'll declare a variable end in small letters. Sorry. Equals, I say variable underscore post square bracket, I say end semicolon, then times, variable times. I think the times has an S. Yes, it has an S, because you need to be very careful. If you miss out any information, you get an error. So underscore post times. So once that is done, the next thing we will do is, first of all, let me go back to my notepad. I would like to save this information. I'll go to file, save as. I go to my WAMP. www, then JS, then I'll give this a name. I can call it, what should I call it now? what was the name I gave the other? So that's loop. So I'll just say loop script .php. That's what I'm going to do. So now we will now come to the form here. If you were part of my last class, you will know how to link your form to a script. So here I'm going to link this form to our script. Now we are in, let me see, okay, GS. Now this is the loop script. I'm going to link it to our loop. Our loop is this is our notepad plus. So this is where we are linking it into. So we'll link it to the loop. I will save it. So as you can see, our form has been linked to the loop.php. Our form is actually called the loop script. I'll save the file. Now I've done that. I need to go back to the loop.php file to do the other things that is needed. Now if you go back to the project, you will see that we've declared the variable. Let's forget about this for now. Ignore this. Let's concentrate on what we've declared. Now we say for the for loop as start, our start less or equals to n, our start increment plus. Then we declare on that variable answer. Declare that variable called answer equals start variable multiplied by so let me stop all this gibberish and go straight to the point. So we'll do this. Let's declare the for loop. The for loop now is say for, it's a function, our curly brace. Now let's go back into the function. So say for start variable semicolon start. I will now say variable start less or equals to variable end, then start plus. Now we'll come here to give it the instruction is meant to do. We'll now say variable answer equal start multiplied by times. So we say variable answer equals to variable start asterisk variable times semicolon. Now once we've done that, the next thing we are going to do is to echo or print. As you can see, it says print echoes the variable start. Whatever we type in the text box will be echoed here. Then we give it a string. Don't forget the concatenation. We give it a string multiplied by times. So this start multiply by times. So let's just give it. Let's do what we have on the screen. So we'll say echo. We'll now say variable start concat say multiplied by under concat variable times a string, don't forget our concat, equals variable answer semicolon. So now go through all this, save. Let's go back to our browser. Our browser is called script, loop script. .php. Now we have our form. Okay, let me do something for us to recognize what we've just done. From the form, let's type in start. Here we'll type in end, and here we'll type in times. Save, come back to here, we'll refresh. So we'll now say let's start from 1, let's end at 10. Now we'll multiply it by 2. Submit. We have an error, line 26. Say pass error unexpected variable answer t variable, expecting a comma or a semicolon. So let's check what the problem. Line 26, variable answer. Okay, so we didn't concatenate it. Put our concat sign there. We'll save, go back to our browser, we'll refresh. Good, as you can see. But let me quickly do one adjustment here. Let's add our break, line break. Don't forget the concat br. Let's save. Now go back to our browser and we'll refresh. Good. So now you can see 1 multiplied by 2 gives us 2. 2 multiplied by 2 gives us 4. 3 multiplied by 2, 6. 4 multiplied by 2, 8. Up to 10 multiplied by 2 gives us 20. That is what a for loop can do for you. Now, hope you understand. If you are finding it quite difficult, you can pause this tutorial, go back and check for the correction. Now, next thing we are going to do, let's go back to our slide. Now go to the while loop. Now the structure of a while loop is more simple than a for loop because you are only evaluating one condition. The loop goes round and round while the condition is true. When the condition is false, the program breaks out of the loop. Program breaks out of the loop. So let's see the structure of the while loop. The structure of the while loop is like this. The while is a function or a method. So within the function you have your condition and the curly bracket with the statement. So if we have an example like this, we say variable counter equals 1, while counter less than 11, and with the curly bracket you now print counter as a string, concat the variable counter with our line breaks and the condition, the statement plus plus. So let's do this quickly. I'll still use my notepad plus plus, but this time around I'm going to comment this section out. Okay, I'm gonna come here. Oh, it's the other way around. Oh almighty, sorry about. So now that I've commented them out, I'll now start my while loop. So here I'll say comments while loop. So now as we saw in our slide, the while loop, I declare a counter variable. I say okay, variable count. Okay, I'm going to use capital letters this time. Equals 1. Then we'll now say while function count less than 11. So I'll now say while function count less than 11, that's variable count, less than 11. Now we'll now echo the information and say print variable count. There's a mistake here, it has to be in capital letter. Count, good. Then we'll say variable count plus plus. We'll save, we'll go to our browser and we'll refresh. We are okay, let's just refresh. Untitled comment in line 3. It's okay. Untitled comment in line 3. Okay. So what I did was to get rid of the previous programs. So let's go back to the browser. We'll now refresh. Okay, we have an error. It says syntax unexpected semicolon in line 7. Print expected semicolon. Oh, I misspelled the spelling of wow. I think that's WHILE. Yes. Save. Good. So you can see it echoed out 1 to 2. Don't forget to enter your concats and your line break sign. Now that is that for the for loop and the while loop. In our next class shortly, I'm going to be treating arrays. So I will want to leave it here for you guys to first digest this for now. By our next class, we'll treat arrays, and I hope this tutorial is useful for every one of you out there. Thank you. Thanks for watching. My name is guys. The next topic we'll be doing is on arrays. And array, as you can see on your screen, there are special kind of variables. An array is a special kind of variable that holds more than one item, digit, or string. So if you want to use an array, for instance, let's assume you have these sets of variables. Let's assume you declare variable var1, var2, var3, var4. You've declared your variables. I know you guys by now should know how to declare a variable. Now, with an array, you can just use a single name. So if you want to declare an array, this is how you go about it. To declare an array, you just simply declare a variable name, var, variable var. VAR is not actually your video assistant referee this time around. It's just a normal word I adopted for this tutorial. So variable var equals an array function with our semicolon, or array function. So if you want to declare an array in our first method, you declare a variable and you declare an array function inside that variable. So type between the round brackets. So this is how it goes. If, for instance, I'm going to use my notepad. Now, in my notepad, I will open my PHP tag. Let me first change the language to PHP. PHP. Good. So PHP. And we have our closing PHP tag. So that is that. So if you want to declare an array, you say declare a variable, let's say var equals an array function. Say array. You can see the color has changed, and that is it. So this is declaring an array. So you'll be asking, you might be wondering, what's so special about declaring an array? Now, an array gives you an opportunity to store multiple information into a single variable. So instead of you creating multiples of variables, you don't need to do that. All you just need is one variable with an array, and you can insert multiple information into that same variable. So what next are we going to do here? We need to insert some values into our array, and it's so simple. What you just quickly need to do, if you are inserting string value, for instance, let's assume string names of people, have double quotes, let's say Ade, then under we say daily, next is let's say John, then next is Mary. So now we now have an array variable with informations in it, strings informations in it. So what we are now going to do, what next are we meant to do. Let's go back to our slide. Now, from our slide, you saw what I've just done in our text editor. Array position start from 0 upwards. Except you tell it otherwise, the position is known as a key. Now, if we go back here, we can now say echo variable var. Let's see what it's going to give us. Variable var. Let's start with that first. Save. Since it's a new file, I'll be saving it right inside my www folder, and have a folder in my WAMP called JS. So what it means is that you guys over there, you still save it into your WAMP, into your www, but you create a folder in your www where the file is going to sit. Okay, so I'm going to choose the file type, which is PHP. Then we'll call it array.php, and we're good to go. The next thing, I'll come to my browser. So I'll look for my locals /js, and I can just type in array.php, enter. Okay, we have an error. Let's say array string conversion in line 4. So let's go through let's see the error. Okay, so we left out the square bracket, and if you want to now echo any information from the array, as I said earlier, array numbers starts from 0. So why was that? Okay, say array position start from 0 upwards. Except you tell it otherwise, the position is known as the key. So what am I trying to say? If you want to print any of the information within this array, you use the key values. For instance, if I want to print a day out, a day starts from 0, the array here is 0, 1, Dele is 1, John is 2, Mary is 3. Just to prove it, I type in 0, I save, and I come back to my browser and I refresh. And as you can see, a day is echoed out. The same thing goes if I choose to say 3. I save, come to my browser, refresh, and you get Mary. So that is how to echo individual arrays. If you want to, for instance, echo out all the information in an array, that's a special kind of method which we are going to incorporate the for loop with, or the for each loop. But right here we are only concerned about the individual values, so within the array. Another method to declare arrays are like this. You say, let me show you this slide. So another method, can you see? So you now declare a value into them directly. We are still using strings. We'll say array Second is next one is var equals Tolani. Next one var equals Wale. Let me just say the last one equals Frank. Okay, so if you want to echo this out now, say echo the variable var, let me say 2 to save. Let's go straight to our browser. Let's refresh. We'll get to Wale. Let's check our text editor again. This is Wale on our key 2. So you can do this also, but I actually prefer the first method. That looks simpler and straightforward. So let's do some other interesting experiment here. Now go back to my slide. I want to do some random value. So we want to get some random value from an array. Now there's a function, array function called array_rand, which enables you to get random value from an array. How does it work? Let's go back to the text editor and clear off this. We declare our array. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we have done this. We have an array function called array_num. So I'm going to declare another variable called array num equals the variable array_num numb. Let's check it again. Oh, sorry, array_rand. Array_rand, my mistake. Rand. So now what do we intend to do? We want to take some random number, so the argument will be passed as variable num. We're going to pass the var variable, not num as I've earlier stated. Now we are going to echo the num now. Echo variable num. So to save, let's go back to our browser. We now refresh. We get a 6. Let's refresh again. We get a 1. Let's refresh again. Have a 4. Let's refresh again. you have a 3. So this kind of formula is very useful for those of you who are into lottery business. If you have a lottery, you want to set up a lottery organization, your programmer needs to know this kind of function to manipulate numbers, especially in a situation when you want to generate the winning numbers for the week or for the day. The array_num will be very, very useful, because in lottery usually your what do you call them, your subscribers will choose from a number between is 1 to 90 or 1 to 60. So if you now want to generate the winning numbers, this is a little example for you to go about it. So that is using the array_rand variable to select or echo out random numbers. So also we can use an array function called array count, or a count function, to determine the numbers of items in an array. The count function looks like this. You declare your variable, declare it as an array, put the items in it, and you now echo it out. It's as simple as that. Let's just do it like this. Let me quickly just say echo count variable var. So as simple as I will save. We'll go to our browser and we'll refresh. 7. We have 7 items here. Let's go back to our text editor. We'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when you are using the count function does not necessarily start from 0. It counts from 1, because you want to actually identify the numbers of items in your array in that variable. So let's go to the next slide. That's the count. It's useful when you want to return how many elements are there in your array. Also, you have other function that you can use in an array and in other variables. Also, we have the UC words, that's uppercase words function, that's to change to all the strings to uppercases. We also have the first letter UC first function if you want to change the first letter of a sentence to uppercase only. Then we have all case to upper, that's strings to upper, just the same way as you use the UC words upper. But this time around, the string to upper change the entire sentence to uppercase. Strings to lower, we have it. So for example, if we have a string called Adewale, we want to clear any white space. We have a function for it using the ltrim word. As the left trim, it trims the white space to the left, and the rtrim trims the white space to the right. Now this counts the number of elements in an array. That's str length. This counts the number of elements in an array. You can go to php.net to get more functions which you can use in your program. Now the last slide we are going to do here is also an interesting one. It's called the shuffle character, and it's called the str shuffle. What it does is to shuffle around strings or elements inside an array. shuffle it around. It's also a useful function for those in the gaming industry, lottery industry. You shuffle it around. If you tell some people to select some words and you want them to use the letters to form some specific words, how do we go about it? You have your variable full name. I have something here called Chokoloko Bangboshi. Then we'll now use another variable called shuffle. We'll now apply the string underscore shuffle function on this variable full name, and we'll now print out this variable shuffle. Without much ado, let's go straight into the groove. Now I create a variable called name, and you can say, let's say Chokoloko Bangboshi. Then we can now say variable shuffle equals string underscore shuffle. Then we'll apply this name into it, semicolon. Then we'll now say echo shuffle, and we'll save. So let's see what it gives us. We'll come here and we'll refresh. Can you see now? You got something else. Osha, no, whatever. But if we refresh again, see, changes. We refresh, changes again. We refresh, it changes again. So this is another example of how to manipulate data within your variable or within your arrays. You can also shuffle numbers. For instance, if you work for a company and you are told to create an application that will generate an account number for individuals who registered on their online site, and automatically once they register, an account number will be generated to them automatically. This is an example of what you can also do. You can mix the array underscore rand and its str underscore shuffle to get these numbers. Let me, for instance, let's do something fun. Let's say we have an integer, or we have integers like 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say we call it num. Then we declare another variable called num2, which is 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we want to do some manipulations here. We can say that variable mult, that's multiplication, with variable num multiplied by variable num, you end the semicolon. So you can now create this. Let me change this name to mult. Create variable mult. Now what you're actually trying to do, also, if let's assume you work for a telecom company and you want to generate recharge card numbers of different types, This is another example, because what you have here now, let me save and let's show what the answer is going to give us. Now I'm going to refresh. I have a syntax error in line 5, unexpected mods. Okay, so what is this saying? Back to our okay, I forgot to put a semicolon here, sorry about that. Save. Now let's go back to our browser, we'll refresh. Now we got our values, that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. We'll refresh again, we get 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. We'll refresh again, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So why are we getting 8 numbers? It's very easy. If you want to generate 8 different integer numbers, you declare 4 integer numbers for the first variable and 4 integer numbers for the second variable. So if you have a bank, usually country I come from, the banks here generate, I think, 10 integer numbers to you as your bank account. So if you have a bank, you work with a bank